The Badgers hung 66 points on the Aggies last week. They got the Buckeyes this week, and I'm looking for more of the same on Wisconsin, baby.
That motion W, that jump around. Don't care who's coming into that town. Results gonna be the same. My Badger's gonna win that game. And anybody tell you anything different, crazy, Bucky got this on Wisconsin, baby.
Hey, welcome to the On Wisconsin Baby podcast. It's a podcast about the Wisconsin Badger football program, and you are tuning in just at the right time because Wisconsin has got a big one coming up this Saturday night at the Horseshoe in Columbus, and it is so much fun. It's going to be so much fun because everybody in Columbus is so overconfident that I am just excited about the fall, the tumble that we're going to see the mighty Buckeyes make. It is going to be a blast. But before we get to that, though, and I don't want to give any secrets away before we get to that, let's talk about last week's game. The Badgers had an outing with the New Mexico State Aggies. Admittedly, not the strongest team in all of football. Good, solid bunch of athletes. Jerry Kill doing a good job up there. He'll probably turn that program around. And Wisconsin played a good, strong game on both sides of the ball. Let's take a look at what we did against New Mexico State. And just for relevance sake, let's take a look at what Ohio State did the last time they played New Mexico State. It was a few years ago in 2009. The Buckeyes did win that game, but it was a lot closer. They beat New Mexico State 45-0. Wisconsin hung 66 points on New Mexico State, won 66-7. That 7 was a garbage points. The 66 was a stall. We could have just kept pouring the points on them like the Buckeyes did last week against Toledo. But I think Coach Chris put the brakes on respectfully. It almost got out of hand because Wisconsin is a powerful team this year, powerful offense, a lot more than they've been given credit for, and we are going to see more of it this week. I know we are, but let's take a look at last week. Let's slow down, Randy. I'm Randy Lee, by the way. I'm the host of the On Wisconsin Badgers podcast here, On Wisconsin Baby. Last week we had 595 yards of total offense from Bobby Ingram's really high-powered offense, and it was very, very spread out evenly. 335 yards on a passing game, primarily a lot through Graham Mertz's excellent game, and the guys averaged 5.7 yards per carry on the ground in the running department, and we spread that out amongst a lot of good players, and it was a lot of fun. If you recall last week, I was hoping that we would get Graham in and out of the game and get the other guys in and out of the game with no injuries, and for the most part, we did. Ches Malusi did have a little bit of a shoulder bruise, but he came back in the game after that, so I think we're solid there. Everybody got some experience, got some yards, and we got some young guys into the game. That was exciting to me. Really good stuff from our reserves. Miles Burkett played excellent as a backup quarterback. I really liked what we saw from him. Confidence, poise under pressure, some good accuracy. Excellent for a raw freshman coming into that game. Really, really good job. Dean Ingram, Bobby's son, who was playing wide receiver, got in the game as a backup, did a nice job. And we got to see Julius Davis on the field. That was a lot of fun. I'm skipping past the starters, but I was so excited to see these guys get a shot, and they did a nice job with what they got. Skylar Bell had a fantastic game. Graham Mertz had a good, solid game, the third game in a row where he's passed for over 200 yards. Really, really looking poised in the pocket and excellent. We know he's going to get some pressure this week. New Mexico State had some good, strong defensive guys, some speed coming off the sides. They did get to us a couple times, but Graham did not do anything like he did in the past couple of years. He has definitely learned, and we've seen some excellent play from him. I'm delighted by what we saw. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. Of course, Jimmy's defense really played excellent. We gave up a total of 242 yards, and a lot of it came from one drive, and disappointing drive there at the end. They missed a field goal, but they put some yards on the scoreboard, and I know the guys were not liking that. But it just proved that these guys can play, and the rest of the time, Wisconsin and Jimmy Leonard's defense really shut them down. Across the board, I think the guys should get a solid A in that department. Shut them down on passing and on running, and took the ball away from them a couple of times. And I believe we're going to see more of that. I want to talk about our upcoming opponent, Ohio State. And before I do that, though, let's take a look at this week in the Big Ten. I'm going to make some predictions for you. I'm going to ask you, don't bet any money on what I say, because I do not want you to go getting wealthy and not wanting to listen to the podcast anymore because of your massive wealth that you've amassed from doing what I said on the predictions. But let's take a break. We're going to take a look at the predictions for this week in the Big Ten, and we got a special treat. My wife has chimed in. She's given me her numbers too, so you got all that input. When we come back, we're going to talk about the team from Columbus, Ohio. It's time for the Big Ten report, the prediction element of On Wisconsin, baby. And I'm going to add a new little twist. My beautiful bride has thrown in her picks, and it'll be interesting to see if somebody who doesn't even care about football can do a better job at picking the winners than I do. I'm going to start off by saying for the season, I'm 19-7, 19 wins, 7 losses, and last week I was 10-3 overall. I'm going to start with our 11 o'clock picks, and I'm going to end up with the big game at the end. We'll put a little suspense here. So for starters, first at 11 o'clock on Fox, Maryland plays at Michigan in the Big House. Michigan's favored by 16.5. I pick Michigan, and I believe they will cover. Terri says Maryland's gonna upset Michigan, so Terry's picking she's picking a straight out upset there, I believe. That's pretty bold, huh? The Big Ten on BTN at 11 o'clock. Central Michigan travels to Penn State. Penn State's favored by 26 after whipping on SEC Auburn. Both Terry and I both believe that Penn State will win that game. On ESPN2 at 2:30, Indiana travels to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 16.5 over Indiana. I pick Cincinnati, and I believe they'll cover. Terry says, Indiana's going to beat Cincinnati, she says. Straight up. Yeah. It'll be interesting. At 2:30, she might be right. 2:30 on the BTN. Minnesota, dreaded Minnesota, plays at Michigan State. Minnesota's a 2.5. Well, it's early in the morning while I'm doing this. 2.5 point favorite, 2.5 point favorite. I believe Minnesota will win, and I believe they will cover. They've been playing pretty well this year. They are without one of their top players. Their top receiver is injured. Looks like he's out for the year. That could make a difference. So it's probably already been factored in. So I pick Minnesota, and I think they'll cover. Terry says Michigan State at home. Take Michigan State at home. On FS1 at 6 o'clock, Iowa, who found a little offense last week, is favored by 7.5 when they visit Rutgers. And Rutgers is undefeated this year. Well, I pick Iowa, but I don't believe Iowa will cover. I still don't believe in their offense. I believe that they'll win, but I don't believe they'll cover.
Terry says Rutgers. Take Rutgers. They'll win straight up at home. This is interesting. I could come out way on the wrong end of this thing, couldn't I? On BTN at 6:30, Florida Atlantic visits Purdue, and Purdue is favored by 19.5 points. I believe Purdue will win, but they're suspect in a lot of ways. I don't think they will cover. Terry says take FAU all the way. Coming into Purdue, she believes they're going to come out with a victory. I love this world that she lives in. I think I do. We'll see where she winds up. On BTN at 6:30, also, Miami of Ohio, who played tough last week, visits Northwestern, who is struggling mightily this year. Northwestern is favored by 6.5 points at home, but I think they will win. I think Northwestern will win here, and I think they'll cover. And Terry agrees with me. So those are the picks going into the real game of the week, the big game of the week, where the Wisconsin Badgers visit Ohio State. Not the Ohio State. Come on. We played 3 state schools in a row. It's just another state school. Anyway, that's my opinion. Wisconsin visits Ohio State. We kick off at 6:30 on ABC. It's a night game in Columbus. You know they're going to be going crazy there. We'll talk a lot about that, about Graham Mertz's opinion of that, and a lot of interesting stuff this week. Wisconsin is underdog by 18 points against the Buckeyes. Some say 17.5, some say 18. I'm going to come out and pick Wisconsin. Wisconsin, 31-24 is my projected score. I believe they will win, and therefore they will cover. And guess what? Terry agrees with me. I know we're right this time. I'm certain. Man, it's going to be awesome. It is going to be awesome. Back to on Wisconsin, baby.
All right. So there you go. Terry, and my predictions for the week, and I know it's exciting stuff. It'll be interesting to see how that all turns out. Either she is got to be masterful, or I am, or maybe a mixture. But it'll be a lot of fun. I know that we're going to get one game right, though. I am deadly confident about that. But let's take a look at these fellows from the Ohio State University, as like to be called. A lot of you know I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from Ohio, but I'm from Wisconsin in my heart. But I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. Respect the Buckeyes program a great deal, and I know they've got great players. I'm a little tongue-in-cheek about some of the things I say. I know that the guys, the fans are out there probably tailgating and probably listening to the On Wisconsin Baby podcast, and I hope I don't mean to upset you. You've got a good program. You're going to have a good year. Don't let this week, Buckeye fans, don't let this week get to you too much. It's just one game, and don't let it get to you too much. Don't let me get to you too much. On Wisconsin, baby. But let's take a look at your guys. Your quarterback, the Buckeyes quarterback, C.J. Stroud, is very good. He's very fast. He's very accurate. He'll be playing in the NFL. He was one of the finalists last year for the Heisman. He'll probably be there again. Ohio State has the largest fan base of all of college football. So some of it's political, but definitely a strong player. He does not very many things wrong, but I believe that you put some pressure on him, you're going to see a couple errant throws. But he's tough to keep in the pocket. Fortunately, Jimmy Leonard is going to have a plan set up to do exactly that and squeeze him a little bit, and I think we'll get a couple takeaways. Their receiver core is fantastic. It's fantastic every year. They've got NFL guys out there. I'll mention 3 of them: Jackson Smith, Enigma, Marvin Harrison Jr. His dad's in the Hall of Fame. Emeka Egbuka. I should know how to say all these names, but and I will after next week's game when the Buckeyes terrorize somebody else. I'll know all these names after this week's game. I may recognize a few, but these guys, and he spreads it around, spreads the wealth. He's got a lot of young players that will come into. All of them have super speed, good hands. They're well coached. Ryan Day's got a great staff. They're the best team that money can buy. You know that. You know that they got a lot of money to throw around, and they do. They've got a lot less restrictions than a school like Wisconsin. But I don't want to get into all that. They know what the truth is up there, over there, down there, wherever Columbus is at. Got a great running back in Travion Henderson. Travion and Braylon had virtually the same numbers last year in their freshman year. Excellent running back, and they got a backup, Mayan Williams, who is a big boy and can definitely carry the rock too. So they've got a good 1-2 punch in their backfield. A lot to work with. Last year, their only weakness really was on their defense, and they patched that up by bringing Jim Knowles in from Oklahoma State. Jim's their defensive coordinator. He's one of the best in the country. He's considered one of the best assistant coaches in the country, like Jimmy Leonard. He knows the program. He runs a 4-2-5. He's got excellent defensive backs, a lot of NFL talent all over that field. No doubt, this is a tough team to beat. No doubt. And they're playing in Columbus. It's going to be rocking and raucous and loud, and the Badgers are looking forward to it. They just flat out are. They're excited about playing against this competition. They're excited about playing in all the noise, and they're excited about quieting that crowd, and they're going to do it. I'm confident of that because we have got the players, folks. We stumbled one time, but I don't think there are any more stumbles coming up. The Badger defense, I believe, is going to shut down Ohio State and hold them to about 3 touchdowns. It's hard to hold them to any less than that. This is a good program, but I believe they'll hold them to about 3 touchdowns, and that's as much as they're going to get. Graham Mertz has been spreading the ball around, and he's been accurate. He's made good, solid decisions. He's going to get more pressure this year because this week is they have some big old boys on that defensive line. They're going to come popping and dropping. But Graham is getting rid of the ball. He's got to get the ball quicker, but I think you'll see a few new twists come in from Bobby Ingram and Paul. They're going to probably bring in some more play action. I think that they're going to spread the ball out a little deeper and spread that defense from Ohio State out. Ohio State spread out, they're going to be surprised because they haven't played against the kind of athletes that Wisconsin has. On the offense and defensive line, Wisconsin is big and strong and talented. Ohio State's not ready for that. They're overestimating Wisconsin. I'm confident of that. They have too much confidence, and it's going to cost them this week, folks. Be there, man. Be there. This is going to be a lot of fun. Graham, I believe, will light him up for 250 to 300 yards this week, even beyond what he had last week. Last week, he was 12 of 15 for 251. Look for Graham to just light these guys up, and not all downfield, but he can throw downfield, and he will. He's got to be cautious because these fellas in the defensive backfield for Ohio State are wicked good. They definitely are, and they got a lot of ball skills. But I believe Graham is ready for him. He's been around. He's had some tough times in the past, but he is ready this year. It's exciting, and it's exciting to see people underestimate him because he is stepping forward. It is a lot of fun, And he's got a diverse array of receivers. I can't mention them all. I mean, it's fantastic. We're seeing the ball go to 9 or 10 different guys a game, and they're able to catch the ball, run the ball, keep the ball, and that is beautiful. Clay Cundiff is becoming a real target. Really excited about seeing what Clay is doing from this tight end position. Of course, he's good friends with Graham, and that's great. It's building some good chemistry, and he's turning into a real tight end target like we've had so often at Wisconsin. Marcus Allen, Skylar Bell, Chimere Dike are probably the top 3. If I'm missing somebody out number-wise, and I know I'm missing guys because I can't name them all right off the top of my head, these guys are doing a great job, and they're developing, and we're getting better and better, and this is going to be another one of those development weeks as we get better, and that development is what's beautiful because Ohio State doesn't see what's going to hit them, and what's going to hit them? What's going to hit them hard is number 0, Braylon Allen. He is coming like a freight train this week. I believe he's been cautious this year, but the offensive line is starting to gel. If you've noticed, they are starting to gel. I haven't talked about them. I probably won't talk about them. It is Badger offensive line, like old time. These guys are starting to click. We got the right offensive line coach in there. We got some good stuff kicking, and holes are going to open here. And these boys for Ohio State are going to be surprised when they say, Braylon, hit that hole and fly, just like he did against New Mexico State. I know Ohio State and New Mexico State are only close alphabetically, but the fact is, these are all young men, and they can be blocked, they can be pushed aside, and they can be run past. And we're going to see Braylon and Chez and Isaac Garendo do it to him. Isaac, I believe, is a secret that we have not even seen yet. We have not even seen what he can do on end-around sweeps, and boom, right up the middle, off tackle too. These three are a three-headed monster that is going to scare the Big Ten and all of college football after this week. These guys are underrated. I believe that they'll get another 250 to 300 yards against Ohio State. Yeah, you can add those numbers up. Go ahead. It's a little scary, but that's what's going to happen in Columbus this week. I truly believe. And on top of it, little secret, the Badgers are going to win the turnover margin. They're going to have 0. I think they'll take a couple away from the Buckeyes. It's a big thing in Wisconsin to take that ball away and to carry it the other direction. So look for a pick 6 or a fumble for 6. Look for that. Look for Jimmy's defense to put 7 up on the board, 6 up on the board. And a kicking game. Good job, Coach Chris. Got the kicking game straightened out last week. I feel pretty confident about what we're doing there. I don't think that we're going to need any field goals this week, though. But if we do, we can kick them. And I'm looking for maybe one field goal this week. But definitely feel the victory coming. You know, I want to talk a little bit more about Ohio State and what we're dealing with, because we're dealing with a huge audience, a huge following, and Badger Nation. We're growing. Ever since Barry Alvarez came there, Wisconsin's gotten better and better and better, and we're seeing. I believe the next step. The next step is happening right here, and you know, Ohio State is an excellent team. They're very well coached, but Wisconsin is going to simply prove that they are better than the Buckeyes this week. Just simple as that. And the Buckeye fan base is not likely to really take Wisconsin seriously going in, and they'll probably, most likely, be heavily inebriated and at game time, and there's a good chance that a lot of these Buckeye fans are not even going to remember what happened Saturday night. So they're going to have to relive this tragedy again on replay on Sunday. And you know, I don't know if I alluded to it, but I meant to mention that this is very likely the first of 2 Badger football victories over Ohio State this year. I don't know if I'm being very coy with that, but what I'm saying here is I do believe Ohio State has got what it takes to get back to Indy this year. I think that they will. The Big Ten East is pretty weak this year. So I think the Buckeyes can get past the other lightweights that are on that east side of the best conference in all of college football, the Big Ten. And I believe this. We're going to see the Buckeyes again in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and when that happens, for these guys that are going to have to suffer this loss twice because of their heavy drinking and foolishness, it's going to be like they suffered 3 losses to the Wisconsin Badgers in 2022. On Wisconsin, baby.
That motion W, that jump around. Don't care who's coming into that town. Results gonna be the same. My Badgers gonna win that game. And anybody tell you anything different, crazy? Bucky got this on Wisconsin, baby.